Hey folks, I'm Dave. Welcome to the basement. So April 2024 is in the rear view. All of the stress, chaos, whatever of Record Store Day 2024 is done, over with for now. Um, and another April has come and gone without the home team being in the NHL playoffs. But what are you going to do? What I do is self-medicate by spinning some vinyl. Now, what I'm going to talk about today are the vinyl pickups or additions to the vinyl collection that are non-record store day pickups. Previous video I showed you what I picked up on record store day. At that point I hadn't cleaned them yet, haven't done any spinning of those. That's done. Well, the cleaning's done and I've started spinning those, but I'm going to put those into an update in May. So this is just non-record store day stuff. And kicking it off with this first one is a blind buy. Band I'd never heard of. The cover caught my attention. I thought it might have been something by Hypnosis, but it is not. Anyway, this is Break the Silence by The World, which, again, it's pretty cool. There's a placid lake. There's a bottle with The World in it, so it's kind of Hypnosis-esque, but yeah, it had nothing to do with Hypnosis. Anyway, this came out in 1983 on Elektra, and The World, I didn't know anything about them at the time, as I said, but after doing some research, they were a synth-pop duo out of California, comprised of songwriters Jeff Slater and Wayne Hammer, whom I've never heard of. Maybe you have. But yeah, so what this turned out to be was actually some pretty decent synth-pop. Reminds me a lot of bands like Oingo Boingo, Men Without Hats, maybe. I don't know. I want to say Wang Chung, but yeah, I'll say Wang Chung. So those kinds of bands. Really groovy, really nice use of synth, very catchy songs. Second track on side one, if you want to check out one. I don't know. I didn't even check if there's clips on YouTube, but if you can find one, it's called Shu Shu Wa. Reminds me a lot of Weird Science, the song Weird Science, not the movie, but the movie and the song. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities with that one. And then on side two is a track called The Loop, which is a really cool, spacey, instrumental sort of song. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I was really happy with this blind buy. I'm surprised actually that these songs weren't more popular back in the day, because they fit right in with those bands that I mentioned. But yeah, if you're into synth pop, definitely check these guys out. Again, it's their one and only. It's not expensive, and it might be a worthy addition to your collection. So yeah, this is Breaking the Silence by The World. All right, and this next one, the cover was just so ridiculous. It's another blind buy. I didn't know anything about this group, and again, I don't know why I did it. It was cheap. The cover was just insane, so I picked it up. This is the self-titled one and only album from a duo called Get Wet. Came out in 1981 on Boardwalk Records. And yeah, it gets worse on the back. Yeah, so again, this was a duo from California. Sherry Beachfront. Wonder if that's her real name. And what's his name? Zeka Esquivel, I think is his last name, who plays all the instruments and makes some noise, things like that. Yeah, this is kind of, I want to say, 50s inspired, 50s rock and roll inspired new wave, if that makes any sense. I guess they had a minor hit with Just So Lonely, the second track on the album. It reached number 39 on the charts, but I don't recall like ever hearing that song before or since. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of this album sounds like it should have been part of or should have been the soundtrack to like a doo-wop or early rock and roll musical, like Grease. In fact, that the title track, or not title track, lead-off track on side one, Lucky You. This is a really energetic song. It's not bad, but it sounds like it came right off the Grease soundtrack, honestly. And then it tell you where their head is at. Side two kicks off with Where the Boys Are, which is, of course, a cover of a Connie Francis song from the 1960 movie of the same title. And it pretty much sticks to the original. So yeah, I mean, wow. This was almost embarrassing to pick up, but it's just so ridiculous you had to, or I had to anyway, because I do that sort of stuff to myself all the time. So yeah, this is the debut, one and only self-titled album from Get Wet. All right, this next one, another debut album, but it's not as ridiculous as the Get Wet album. Trust me, believe me. This is, like I said, the debut album, self-titled, by a band called Alive and Kickin'. Came out in 1970 on Roulette Records. And they were are a band, sort of a rock band, sunshine pop band, out of Brooklyn. Did I say that already? I don't know. If I did, I said it again. This album was produced by Tommy James. I guess he also played a role in just getting the whole recording together and getting this album released. Male, female vocals, like I said, sunshine pop. And they were kind of a one-hit wonder. This song here, Tighter and Tighter, I think it was a top 10 hit in 71, maybe? 70, 71, I'm not sure. But this is just a totally super fun album. Now, unfortunately, singer Pepe Cardona, he passed away in 2020. But yeah, the rest of the group is apparently carrying on. Junction Creek, even though that wasn't the hit, the second song on the album, that's just a super great funky tune. Awesome soulful vocals from Sandy Totter, who was the female vocalist. And Just Let It Come is a really strong song also, with that's the first track on side two, with some really great psych guitar sound. So yeah, I kind of dug this album. This was fun, good energy. Again, a little sugary. But yeah, I mean, if you're into that, you haven't heard of these guys, check them out. This is the self-titled debut album from Alive and Kickin'. And another blind buy this time, and again, another one and only album. This came out in 1986 on Epic Records. This is a self-titled album from a band called New Man. And so this wasn't, well, it was a blind buy, but what caught my attention was, the cover was, I mean 80s power pop maybe. But what caught my attention was the drummer, Brock Avery, who pretty much drummed for everybody, but including Wayne Kramer. So I just saw his name on there, I thought I would give this a shot, check it out. So yeah, this sound is definitely, or the sound of this album is definitely 80s pop, with a little bit of horns thrown in, some saxophone now and then, heavy on the bass synth. Reminds me a lot of Glenn Frey. If you think of the song You Belong to the City, that's kind of the vibe you got going on with this album. Also, there's hints here and there of a Berlin influence as well, which is good. I mean, nothing really stood out to me on this album, but overall I felt it was just enjoyable 80s AOR, definitely of its time. Definitely power pop, like I said. Think of the Glenn Freys, the Berlins. That's kind of what you're going to get here, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. If that's your thing too, check this out. This is a self-titled album from New Man. Now, this next band I had heard of, and I'd seen their stuff fairly frequently in the crates, but just, I don't know, I never bothered to take a chance on it. Finally, I did on this particular album, primarily because of the cover. So I thought I'd give it a shot. Anyway, this is Iron Age by Mother's Finest. Came out in 1981 on Atlantic Records. And I think this is their 5th album. And so yeah, Mother's Finest is a band that blends, or band from Georgia that blends funk, metal, hard rock into this just massive ball of energy behind the huge, huge voice of Joyce Kennedy. And I don't know. I don't know why I waited so damn long. This album just kicked ass. I totally enjoyed this one. Moving On is a really great rocker. I really enjoyed that. Lots of energy, very strong vocals. But as good as that one was, Rock and Roll Tonight was my favorite track, even stronger than Moving On. But all in all, this is just a, like I said, kick-ass album, great guitar sound. The vocals just blew me away. I'm definitely going to be looking for more from Mother's Finest. So I'm glad I finally pulled the trigger on this one. And anybody out there who's a fan, let me know what you think. Is this their best album? I've read a little bit about them being a little bit more funky than rock early on. This is kind of their heaviest album, I think. But let me know what the other ones sound like and what you think of them. But yeah, this is Iron Age by Mother's Finest. And definitely getting into some power pop this time. This is Steady Nerves by Graham Parker and The Shot. Came out in 1985 on Elektra Records. So yeah, totally not a blind buy. Graham Parker, obviously, of The Rumor, and The Shot, his band The Shot, includes Brinsley Schwartz, also from The Rumor and other things. And this essentially is his third solo album, I think it is. But I really enjoyed this one. I had to get the right neuron to fire to get that out. Definitely some good power pop in here. Break Them Down, the title track, or not title track, but the lead off track is a perfect example of 80s power pop. Very catchy, sing-along choruses, really energetic guitar. That was a good song. I enjoyed that. Now, Wake Up Next to You was apparently his only top 40 hit. I mean, it was number 39, but and I guess it was inspired by Smokey Robinson, and I can definitely hear that in Graham's vocal style. But overall, the song, I don't know, it didn't do that much for me. But another one that I enjoyed was Weekend's Too Short, which is the lead track on side 2. That one's a really fun song. I really enjoyed the synth riffs on that one. And let's see, yeah, there's nothing, just the generic sleep. So yeah, I enjoyed this album overall. I would have to say side 2 is got the more catchier tunes than the A side, but I don't know. I still enjoyed it. It's fun. If you're into 80s power pop, and maybe if you're even obviously into The Rumor, you're probably already well aware of this album. But if not, this is a pretty good one to start with. Yeah, so yeah, this is Graham Parker and The Shot, Steady Nerves. All right, we're going to wrap this up with a sort of a puff, not really a bang. This was the 10th album from Olivia Newton-John, called Totally Hot. Came out in 1979 on MCA. And it came out same year as Grease. Wait, did I say 79? Sorry, 78. Came out in 78. Same year as Grease. And definitely that's what she was going for, the whole bad Sandy here on the cover. And here. And yeah, so, okay, I've never been a huge fan of Olivia Newton-John, but this was her first album to go platinum, and I had read that it was more of a departure from her more country-oriented or country-leaning previous album, so I thought, I'll check it out. And, it was okay. Got through lyrics, and then... But anyway, so yeah, guitarist Steve Lukather of Toto guests on 3 tracks, and that was kind of a incentive for me to buy this. Also, bass player Dave Hungate, also from Toto, plays on the entire album. So that was, again, I wanted to hear what they did with Olivia, and I don't know, to anybody else, does she sound a little bit like Dolly Parton? I've never really heard it before. I mean, I know all the Grease soundtrack from start to finish, but it never really struck me until I was listening to this album. It's like, you know, she sounds a little bit like Dolly, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. So yeah, this album was okay. Nothing really stood out. Maybe a little bit more love, or a little more love if I had to pick a track. She was kind of had a sultry sort of sound to her voice on that one, so that was kind of sexy. But other than that, it was okay. Like I said, I'm not a huge Olivia Newton-John fan. I think I've got, other than the Grease soundtrack, I might have one other album, and I just picked this up kind of on a whim. It was like a buck. So yeah, totally hot, Olivia Newton-John. All right, so that wraps up April. Nothing really spectacular, sort of anticlimactic after Record Store Day. But hey, you know, they were interesting. Let me know what you think. If you have any of these albums, if you like them, hate them, let me know in the comments. I'd be definitely interested to hear what you have to say about them. And if you haven't checked out my Record Store Day Find video, I'll post a link somewhere in the description. Maybe I'll figure out how to do one of those thingies up at the top and put a link up there as well. But yeah, so until next time, I hope you stay cool and stay safe.